What happens when one of Hollywood's biggest stars walks onto a morning show set and everything goes completely sideways? When a simple interview turns into a verbal battle that nobody saw coming. Well, that's exactly what unfolded when Mark Wahlberg sat down with Michael Strahan on Good Morning America. And what started as a routine promotional appearance quickly spiraled into one of the most intense exchanges in morning television history. Before we get into this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below, telling us what you think about what went down. So, Mark Wahlberg arrives on the Good Morning America set for what everyone assumes is going to be a standard interview. He's there to talk about his latest project, and Michael Strahan is ready to kick things off with his usual charm and energy. The cameras start rolling, the audience is settled in, and Strahan opens with what seems like a harmless question. Mark, great to have you here. You've had an incredible career, from music to acting to business. But I've got to ask, there's been some talk lately about some of your past comments resurfacing. How do you feel about the way people are looking at your old interviews? You can see Wahlberg's expression shift immediately. He leans back in his chair, and there's this moment of silence that feels like it lasts forever. Then he speaks up. Michael, with all due respect, I came here to talk about my new film, not to rehash things that were said years ago in completely different contexts. I think we both know that's not why I'm sitting here. Strahan doesn't back down, though. He keeps that professional smile on his face, but you can tell he's not planning to let this go. I hear you, Mark, I do. But you have to understand, when you're in the public eye, people are going to ask these questions. It's part of the territory. And honestly, a lot of folks want to know where you stand on some of these issues now. Wahlberg shifts forward in his seat, and his tone gets noticeably sharper. Where I stand. I've been pretty clear about where I stand on everything. I've grown, I've evolved, I've been open about my journey. But what I'm not going to do is sit here and let you ambush me with questions that have nothing to do with why I agreed to come on this show. The tension in the studio is palpable. You can see some of the crew members exchanging glances, and the audience has gone completely quiet. Strahan maintains his composure, but there's definitely an edge creeping into his voice. Ambush, Mark? Come on. This is Good Morning America. We ask real questions here. Nobody's ambushing anybody. I'm just doing my job as a journalist. Journalist? Wahlberg actually laughs at this point, but it's not a friendly laugh. Michael, you're a host on a morning show. Let's not pretend this is 60 Minutes. You're asking me gotcha questions because you think it'll get you some viral moment. That's what this is really about now. Strahan's smile fades completely. He sits up straighter, and his whole demeanor changes. Hold on a second. You don't get to come on my show and tell me how to do my job. I've been in this chair for years, and I've interviewed hundreds of people. I ask the questions that matter to our audience, and right now they want to hear from you about more than just your movie. Then maybe you should have been upfront about that before I walked out here. Wahlberg fires back. Maybe someone from your team should have said, Hey Mark, we're actually planning to grill you about everything except what you're here to promote, because that would have been the honest thing to do. Strahan leans forward now, matching Wahlberg's energy. We don't script our interviews to make celebrities comfortable, Mark. That's not how this works. If you only want softball questions, there are plenty of other shows that'll give you that. But we're not that show. Softball questions? Wahlberg is visibly frustrated now. I've done hundreds of interviews. I've sat down with everyone from serious journalists to podcasters in their basement. I've never once asked for softball questions. What I'm asking for is basic respect and honesty about what this conversation was supposed to be about. The camera cuts to a wide shot, and you can see both men are fully engaged in this confrontation now. This isn't just a small disagreement anymore. This is turning into something much bigger. Respect goes both ways, Strahan responds. And honestly, I think our audience deserves to hear you address some of these things instead of just promoting your movie and leaving. That's respect, too, respect for the people watching. Wahlberg shakes his head, and you can see he's trying to keep his cool, but it's getting harder. You want to talk about respect for the audience? How about not wasting their time with manufactured drama? How about actually discussing the work that hundreds of people put into this film instead of trying to create some clickbait moment? Clickbait. Strahan's voice rises slightly. Man, you're really something. You think I need clickbait? You think Good Morning America needs to manufacture drama? We're one of the top morning shows in the country. We don't need gimmicks. Could have fooled me, Wahlberg mutters, but the microphone picks it up clearly. Strahan catches it immediately. What was that? You got something else you want to say? Say it clearly. I said could have fooled me. Because from where I'm sitting, this feels a whole lot like a gimmick. You brought me here under false pretenses, and now you're trying to turn this into something it's not. The studio audience is completely silent now. Some people look uncomfortable, others look fascinated. This is clearly not going the way anyone expected. False pretenses, Strahan repeats almost to himself. Mark, every guest who comes on this show knows we might ask challenging questions. That's not false pretenses, that's just how interviews work in the real world. Challenging questions are fine, Wahlberg counters. But there's a difference between challenging and antagonistic. And right now you're being antagonistic. Antagonistic because I asked you about your own words, your own past statements, because you're clearly trying to provoke a reaction instead of having a genuine conversation. Strahan takes a deep breath, and for a moment it seems like he might try to de-escalate, but then he doubles down. You know. What? Maybe I am trying to provoke something. Maybe I'm trying to provoke some honesty. That last comment from Straw clearly hits a nerve. Wahlberg's jaw tightens, and he points a finger across the table. Rehearsed talking points? You think I need a script to talk about my own life? That's insulting, Michael. That's genuinely insulting. Well, maybe if you actually answered the question instead of deflecting, we wouldn't be here, Strahan shoots back. I'm not deflecting anything. I'm calling out what's happening right now, which is you trying to make yourself look tough at my expense. Strahan actually laughs at this, but it's a harsh sound. At your expense, Mark? You're a multi-millionaire movie star. I think you can handle a few tough questions without playing the victim. Playing the victim? Wahlberg's voice gets louder. I'm not playing anything. I'm pointing out that you're being disrespectful and unprofessional. Unprofessional, Strahan repeats, his voice dripping with sarcasm. That's rich coming from someone who's walked off sets before. Excuse me? Wahlberg leans forward sharply. What did you just say? You heard me. You've got a reputation, Mark. Everyone in this industry knows you can be difficult when things don't go your way. The tension has now reached a breaking point. Wahlberg stands up slightly from his chair, then seems to catch himself and sits back down, but his anger is barely contained. Difficult? I'm difficult because I expect basic professionalism? Because I don't want to be blindsided on national television? That makes me difficult. No, you're difficult because you can't handle being challenged. You want everyone to treat you like royalty, ask you soft questions, laugh at your jokes, and promote your projects without any real substance. Real substance, Wahlberg says bitterly. You want real substance? Let's talk about real substance, then. Let's talk about how morning shows like this one have become more about creating viral moments than actual journalism. Let's talk about how hosts like you care more about their social media engagement than having meaningful conversations. Strahan's eyes narrow. Hosts like me? What's that supposed to mean? It means exactly what I said. You're more concerned with your brand than with doing quality work. My brand? Strahan's voice rises again. I've been working in television and sports for decades. I've earned everything I have. Don't you dare question my credibility. I'm not questioning your credibility in sports. I'm questioning your credibility as an interviewer right now, in this moment, with how you're handling this conversation. Maybe the problem isn't how I'm handling it. Maybe the problem is you can't take the heat. Wahlberg shakes his head slowly, a bitter smile on his face. The heat, Michael? I've been in this business for over 30 years. I've dealt with real critics, real journalists, real tough interviews. This isn't heat. This is just petty. Petty, Strahan repeats. You know what's petty? Coming on a show, agreeing to an interview, and then complaining when the questions aren't exactly what you wanted. I agreed to come here in good faith. That's the difference. Good faith. Something that seems to be lacking from your end. Good faith? You want to talk about good faith? How about showing some good faith to the people watching by actually engaging with the questions instead of attacking me? I am engaging. I'm engaging by telling you and everyone watching that this is not how a professional interview should be conducted. Strahan throws his hands up. Then maybe you should leave. If this is so beneath you, if I'm so unprofessional, maybe you should just walk off the set. The camera captures Wahlberg's face, and you can see he's seriously considering it. The studio has gone from quiet to absolutely silent. Everyone is frozen, watching this unfold. Is that what you want? Wahlberg asks coldly. You want me to walk off so you can tell everyone that Mark Wahlberg couldn't handle a simple interview? So you can play the victim and act like I'm the unreasonable one. I'm not playing anything, Mark. I'm asking you questions, and you're refusing to answer them. That's what's actually happening here. No, what's actually happening is you're trying to trap me. Every question is loaded. Every response I give, you twist into something else. That's not an interview. That's an interrogation. Maybe it feels like an interrogation because you have something to hide. Wahlberg goes very still. What did you just say? You heard me. Maybe all this defensiveness, all this anger. Maybe it's because you don't want to address certain things. You don't know anything about me, Michael. You don't know what I've been through, what I've overcome, what I've worked to become. Don't sit there and psychoanalyze me like you have any clue. I know what the public record shows. I know what's been reported. I know what you've said in the past. The public record, Wahlberg says with disgust, the public record is a bunch of out-of-context quotes and hit pieces written by people who've never met me. So everyone else is wrong. Every critic, every journalist who's questioned you, they're all wrong, and you're the only one who's right. I never said that, but I am saying that you don't get to ambush someone and then act self-righteous about it. There's that word again, ambush. You keep using it like it means something. This is a conversation, Mark. A conversation that you're losing badly right now. Wahlberg actually laughs at this, a real, genuine laugh of disbelief. Losing? You think this is about winning and losing? That tells me everything I need to know about how you see this. What it tells you is that I'm not going to back down just because you're uncomfortable. Uncomfortable? Michael, I've been in movies where I've been shot at, beaten up, thrown through windows. You think a bad interview makes me uncomfortable? What makes me uncomfortable is dishonesty. What makes me uncomfortable is sitting across from someone who pretends to be friendly and then tries to take you down. Take you down? Strahan looks genuinely offended now. Man, your ego is something else. I'm not trying to take you down. I'm trying to get you to have a real conversation. By insulting me? By questioning my character? That's your idea of a real conversation. By asking you to take responsibility. By asking you to address things instead of hiding behind your PR team. Wahlberg's hands gripped the armrests of his chair. Take responsibility? I've taken responsibility for more things than you can possibly imagine. I've been public about my mistakes, about my growth, about my journey. But what I won't do is sit here and let you make me out to be something I'm not. Nobody's making you out to be anything. I'm literally just asking you questions based on your own history. My own history that you're choosing to focus on instead of anything positive, instead of the charity work, the community involvement, the jobs I've created. No, let's just focus on the negative because that's what gets clicks. Strahan leans back and crosses his arms. Here we go with the clicks thing again. You're obsessed with this idea that everything is about going viral. Maybe, just maybe, it's about holding people accountable. Accountable? Wahlberg says the word slowly. Who made you the accountability police, Michael? Who gave you the right to sit in judgment of me or anyone else? The same people who tune in every morning expecting honest conversations. The same people who are tired of celebrities getting softball treatment and never having to answer real questions. Real questions, Wahlberg repeats mockingly. You keep saying that like it justifies everything. Real questions require real context. Real questions require fairness. What you're doing isn't journalism. It's got a television. Call it whatever you want. At least I'm being honest about who I am and what I'm doing here. Can you say the same? Wahlberg's face flushes red. Are you seriously questioning my honesty right now after you brought me here under completely false pretenses? I brought you here to have a conversation. That's it. You're the one who decided to make it into World War II because you attacked me the second I sat down. You came out swinging, and now you want to act like I'm the aggressor. That's gaslighting, Michael. That's literally gaslighting. Strahan uncrosses his arms and points at Wahlberg. Don't you dare use that word with me. Don't you dare try to flip this around. I asked you legitimate questions, and you went on the defensive immediately. Because I recognized what you were doing. I've been in this game long enough to know when someone's setting a trap. A trap? Strahan says with exasperation. Everything is a trap to you. Every question is an ambush. Every conversation is some conspiracy against Mark Wahlberg. Do you hear yourself? I hear myself just fine. What I'm hearing from you is someone who's more interested in controversy than truth. The truth? Strahan's voice gets even louder. You want to talk about truth? The truth is you came on this show expecting to be treated like royalty. The truth is you can't handle being treated like everyone else. The truth is your ego is so massive that the second someone doesn't bow down to you, you lose it. Wahlberg stands up now, not fully, but enough that it's clear he's done sitting passively. My ego, that's hilarious coming from you. You walk around here like you own the place, like you're God's gift to morning television. You treat your guests like they're lucky to be here, like you're doing them some massive favor. Maybe because they are lucky to be here. This is Good Morning America. This is a platform that millions of people watch. If you don't appreciate that, there's the door. Oh, I appreciate platforms. What I don't appreciate is being disrespected on one. Strahan stands up too now, matching Wahlberg's posture. Disrespected, man. You don't even know what that word means. I've been respectful this entire time. I've asked you questions. I've listened to your answers. Even when those answers were just you complaining and dodging. Dodging? Wahlberg's voice hits a new level of intensity. I haven't dodged a single thing. I've been direct with you from the start. I told you exactly what the problem is here, and you've refused to acknowledge it. The problem is you, Mark. The problem is you can't handle reality. The problem is you live in this bubble where everyone tells you you're great. And the second someone pushes back even a little bit, you crumble. I crumble. Wahlberg actually laughs out loud now. You think this is me crumbling, Michael? If I was crumbling, I'd be out of here already. The fact that I'm still sitting here, trying to have an actual conversation with you shows more patience than you deserve. Patience? You call this patience? You've been hostile from the first question. Because the first question was hostile. You set the tone, not me. Strahan shakes his head vigorously. No. You don't get to rewrite what just happened. Everyone watching saw it. Everyone in this studio saw it. I asked a fair question, and you immediately got defensive and aggressive. Fair. There was nothing fair about it. You might as well have said, "Hey, Mark, let's talk about everything wrong with you instead of why you're actually here." Stop being so dramatic. It was one question. One question that you could have answered in 10 seconds and moved on. But instead, you turned it into this whole production. Because it wasn't just one question, Michael. We both know that it was the first in what was clearly going to be a series of attacks disguised as journalism. Attacks, Strahan says with disbelief. You are so paranoid. You see attacks everywhere. Maybe that says more about you than it does about me. What it says about me is that I'm smart enough to recognize what's happening. What it says about you is that you're willing to sabotage a guest for ratings. Sabotage. Strahan's face shows genuine anger now. I don't need to sabotage anyone for ratings. I have ratings. I have success. I have credibility. What I don't have is patience for celebrities who think they're above answering questions. Above answering questions. I answer questions all the time. Real questions from real journalists who actually care about having meaningful dialogue. And I'm not a real journalist. Is that what you're saying? I'm saying that right now in this moment, you're not acting like one. Strahan takes a step closer. You know what? I'm done. I'm done trying to have a civil conversation with someone who clearly has no interest in being civil. Civil? Wahlberg matches his step. You lost the right to talk about civility when you started this whole thing. I started it. I'm the host. I asked a question. That's literally my job. Your job is to interview people, not prosecute them. And your job is to calling me out. Strahan's voice echoes through the studio. You're not calling anyone out. You're deflecting. You're making excuses. And you're trying to control a narrative that you don't get to control. I'm not trying to control anything except my own dignity, which you seem determined to destroy. Your dignity? Strahan looks almost incredulous. Your dignity was never at risk until you made it about that. This could have been a simple 5-minute exchange, and we could have moved on. But you had to turn it into this massive confrontation. Because you forced me to. Because you wouldn't let it go. Because every single thing I said, you twisted into something else. I didn't twist anything. I responded to what you said. That's how conversations work, Mark. That's not a conversation. That's combat. And if you want combat, fine. But don't pretend you wanted a conversation. Strahan throws his hands up again in frustration. What do you want from me? Do you want me to apologize? Do you want me to admit I was wrong? Because I wasn't wrong. I asked you a question that needed to be asked. What I want is for you to be honest about what this really is. This isn't about asking questions. This is about creating a moment. This is about you trying to look tough and me being the target. Everything is about you, isn't it? Everything is some plot against Mark Wahlberg. You can't just accept that maybe, just maybe, you're being held to the same standard as everyone else. The same standard. Wahlberg's voice drips with sarcasm. Show me one other guest you've treated this way. Show me one other interview where you came out this aggressively from the jump. I treat every guest based on what they need to be asked about. Some interviews are light, some are serious, some are challenging. That's the nature of the job. And you decided mine needed to be challenging before I even sat down. That's the problem. You prejudged this entire situation. I didn't prejudge anything. I prepared questions based on who you are and what's relevant. That's not prejudging. That's preparation. Wahlberg shakes his head and takes a step back. You know what, Michael? I actually feel sorry for you. I feel sorry that this is what you think good television is. I feel sorry that you think ambushing people is the same as holding them accountable. Don't feel sorry for me, Strahan fires back. Feel sorry for yourself, because you just showed everyone watching exactly who you are. You showed them that you can't handle pressure. You showed them that you're defensive and hostile when things don't go your way. What I showed them is that I won't be disrespected. What I showed them is that I have boundaries. What I showed them is that I'm not going to smile and nod while someone tries to tear me down. Tear you down. Strahan repeats yet again. That phrase keeps coming up. Nobody is trying to tear you down, but you're so convinced that everyone is out to get you that you can't see reality. Reality is standing right in front of me. Reality is you admitting finally that this was never about having a fair conversation. I never admitted that. Don't put words in my mouth. You just said you prepared challenging questions specifically for me. You just admitted you came into this with an agenda. Strahan points at Wahlberg forcefully. Having questions prepared is not an agenda. It's called being professional. Something you clearly don't understand. Professional? Wahlberg says with a bitter laugh. Yeah, you keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. What I think is that we're done here. I think this interview is over. Oh, now you want it to be over. Now that you've gotten your viral moment, now that you've created your controversy, now you want to end it. I want to end it because it's clear we're not getting anywhere. You're not going to answer questions. I'm not going to stop asking them. We're at an impasse. We were at an impasse the second I sat down, and you decided to attack me. Strahan's face shows complete exasperation. I did not attack you. When are you going to get that through your head? I asked you a question, one question, and you have spent the last however many minutes turning it into this whole thing. Because it wasn't just a question. It was a statement disguised as a question. It was you trying to put me on the spot and make me look bad. You're making yourself look bad, Mark. You're doing that all on your own. I'm just sitting here watching it happen. No, you're not just sitting here. You're actively participating. You're actively making this worse with every word you say. Then leave. Seriously, just leave. Walk off the set. Do whatever you need to do. But stop blaming me for a situation you created. Wahlberg stares at Strahan for a long moment. The silence is deafening. Finally, he speaks, his voice low and controlled. I didn't create this situation. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish what I came here to say. Not for you, but for the people watching who might actually care about the work we've done on this film. Oh, so now you want to talk about the film. Now, after all this, you want to do the interview? I want to do what I came here to do, despite your best efforts to prevent it. Strahan sits back down heavily in his chair. Fine. Go ahead. Tell us about the film. Wahlberg remains standing. You know what? No. I'm not going to give you that satisfaction. I'm not going to pretend like the last 15 minutes didn't happen. I'm not going to act like everything is fine and play along with your show. So, you're leaving then? I'm leaving, but not because I can't handle the questions. I'm leaving because this was never an interview. This was an ambush, and I don't participate in ambushes. That's your choice, Strahan says coldly. Walk away. Run away. Whatever you want to call it. I'm not running from anything. I'm walking away from a toxic situation that never should have happened in the first place. Wahlberg starts to remove his microphone. His hands are shaking slightly, whether from anger or adrenaline or both. You're making a mistake, Strahan says. The mistake was coming here. The mistake was thinking this would be a professional environment. The mistake was giving you the benefit of the doubt. Everything is someone else's fault with you, isn't it? Wahlberg stops and turns back to face Strahan one last time. No, Michael. Some things are my fault. I own my mistakes. But this disaster, this is on you. This is your doing. And everyone watching knows it. They'll make up their own minds about that. Yeah, they will. And I'm confident about what they're going to see when they watch this back. So am I, Strahan responds. The two men stare at each other for what feels like an eternity. Neither one backing down, neither one willing to concede anything. Finally, Wahlberg finishes removing his microphone, sets it on the chair, and walks off the set without another word. Strahan watches him go, then turns back to the camera. His expression is hard to read, somewhere between vindicated and frustrated. The studio sits in stunned silence as the cameras capture the empty chair where Wahlberg had been sitting just moments before. So there you have it, one of the most explosive interviews in morning television history. Mark Wahlberg and Michael Strahan going head-to-head in a confront.